Possible with one of the lawmakers that will have to cast a vote if a deal is consummated. Texas Senator Kay Bailey Hutchison, a member of the Appropriations Committee and Republican from Texas. She joins me now. Thanks so much for being on the program.
Thank you, Luke.
So we know now that the ball is in the Senate's court. Emphasis is now on Harry Reid and Mitch McConnell. This seems the House is not in session. Johnny Isakson, your colleague from Georgia, said that Republicans should essentially just pass the $250,000 and below deal because that's eventually what's going to happen afterwards and not put the markets through any type of turmoil. Do you think that should happen?
I do not. I think $250,000 is too low a threshold. A lot of working people who are couples would exceed that, and I don't think we need that kind of shock to the system. However, I've talked to some of my Democratic colleagues, and they are saying maybe in the $400,000 or $500,000 category, we could set a benchmark. I do think it is essential that we start talking about what amount can be passed on a bipartisan basis, because, you know, I'm one who believes you shouldn't tax anyone right now. I would have supported Plan B. I think that we've got to come to some terms with the impact that this is going to have, and remember the other parts of this, making the child tax credit permanent, the marriage penalty relief permanent. These are the things that go with any kind of a threshold that we hopefully could agree on.
But you wouldn't take, for example, if the only deal that was out there was the 250 or below, you would vote no.
Well, Luke, I'm not going to make a commitment because, you know, I don't know what else would be in it. I think we need to have some debt relief here. I think we need to address sequestration, and I think we need a reasonable amount that would still not have tax increases. I mean, I'd be for no one having a tax increase, but I know that I'm not in the majority in the United States Senate, and so I just think we've got to sit down and hammer something out and see where can the Democrats give in the Senate, where can the Republicans give in the House, and let's try to make something more reasonable. I think 250 is way too low. You know, I'd go for no limits, but that's not where we are right now.
As a member of the Senate, you have to work tomorrow, presumably on the fiscal cliff. Should the House Republicans, the leadership, call that body back into session?
Well, I think Speaker Boehner will be in on the negotiations, and he will know when something might go through the Senate, and he will certainly call the House in time to address this. They are prepared to go back, but right now the action is in the Senate, and I know that we are all trying to come up with and talk to our colleagues about some kind of way to avoid this massive increase in taxes that would occur if we don't act. And the things that are going on beneath the surface, I think, are important in the Senate side, and I know that the Speaker will call them back when it's necessary. On
a different issue, you're from a border state. You're obviously retiring soon. Immigration, it's something that your party tried to accomplish under George W. Bush, was not able to. As sort of someone who can speak freely about it, what's going to need to happen, what's going to need to be seen from Republicans and Democrats for that to move forward in any substantial way in the early part of 2013?
Well, we need to make it a major issue, that's for sure. We need border security. We need a guest worker program so that people can come here legally and be able to work. And I think that there are several issues that have to be addressed. Certainly the young people who have come here illegally need some way to get into a program because they have college educations, many of them. They certainly have high school educations, and they need to be able to have some kind of legal status that allows them at least to work until they can decide if they want to do some, you know, go back to their home country or stay here and work in a legal way. So I think there are ways that we can take a little bit at a time. I think border security is high on everyone's agenda, as is some kind of guest worker program. So I think that it is a priority. I have been in on many of the discussions, and it's a hard issue, but it's one that has to be addressed. We've got several hard issues right now.
Yeah,
Luke,
well, I'm sure you'll be playing a role on the outside when your Senate term expires on immigration. Senator Kay Bailey Hutchison from Texas, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it.
Hey, thank you, Luke.
Mark your calendars, South Carolina.